right, Ben, I want to ask you a few questions. Because one of the big deals is I really want people to hear things from you as opposed to having people write stories about you. I want people to know what you have to say about you. Is fair?
Fair enough.
Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about bench pressing. Okay, so Charlie has it written down, and people can find this on the internet if they want it. Usually when they search it, it's going to say that you bench 352 for 10. 352 pounds for 10 reps. But what is in Charlie's book, it has you benching, he said in 1980, you started benching, and your max then was 180. By 85, you were benching 365, he said. And then on September 19th, 1988, you benched 407. So does that all sound about right?
It's more than that.
What did you bench in 88?
About 475, between 450 and 475.
Okay. Now, was that in Seoul or was that
In
before
Seoul.
Seoul?
In Seoul.
Okay. All right. So why did you start benching? What was the point of benching for you?
Do you want me to start talking now?
Yeah, man. This guy.
Okay. I start benching because I got a small frame, muscles form small frame body type. So my secret was to get strong. And once I get strong, then I can move my arms much faster, much better. And also on my set position in the blocks, I can hold my set position much stronger, much better with a false started. So the benching for me was my key of my success to be the person I've become later on in my career.
So that's why you started benching. So did Charlie start you benching or did you start you benching?
I started benching around 1980 when Canada boycotted the Olympic Games, but we were in Sherbrooke, Montreal at the senior nationals, and one of the guys said to me, you know, you're very small, you know, you must trying to do some bench press, and I said, oh man, I don't want to do no bench press. And as the day goes by, it's in my head, and I say, you know what? You may be right. So that same year, I started bench press, and I remember coming inside the weight training, inside the gym, put the bar on and the 45, and the bar was like this. So I was trying to make it straighten up, and I was so weak, and I was trying to bench in this way, and then after a short period of time, I started to get the angle of it, to try to get it stronger and stronger. Then I started bench up to about 180 pounds that same year. So it was quite a good achievement for me.
So, and then you just, for the purposes of just improving ability, you continued to up the bench over time. So you got to, you said 450, 475, somewhere between there.
Yes.
Right. How many times did you bench 450, 475? It was just once?
Well, the way it was done, it was incredible because me and Charlie went inside the weight room in Seoul. That was the Monday, and I raced the Friday, and we put the bar on, and I say, okay, Charlie, let's warm up with 140 pounds, which is 245 on each side, 145 on each side. I say 10 reps, then I take a break, then I put on 225, do about 8 reps, then I put on 315, do about 5 repetitions, then I went to 365 and do about, I think it was 6 reps of 365. And Charlie goes to me, he always asks me how I feel. I say, I feel great, I feel good, Then he goes to me, do you want to go up some more? I say, yeah, I feel good. We have a few 3 or 4 days to recovery from this, enough time to recovery. So we started to put on the weight on, and I went up to 395 with 1 rep, and I went up to 310 with 1 rep, and I said, wow. I said, man, these guys is dead. With the strength and this power I have, they're in trouble. Mm-hmm. Charlie his word go, fuck me, man. Right? and then I put on another 15 pounds on both sides. Mm-hmm. And then I do 1 rep, and then he goes, this doesn't sound right. Let's do the calculation here. Mm-hmm. And so the calculation, the weights and everything like that, and it was 350.
350 or 450?
450 pounds, sorry.
450, yeah.
450 pounds bench press. And we look at each other like this and say, I know, something's going on, you know.
You're fresh.
Oh, it's fresh, right?
Yeah. So is it your opinion that people, in order to say have a good start like you had, do they have to bench that much, or does it depend on the person?
Well, if you don't have the bench press program in your program from day one and trying to do it now into
Do it late.
too late, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
So do you think that people need to start, like say from the start when they're young, should they be benching? Or should they develop strength another way first?
I think they should start benching at a young age. One of the key thing is to maximum weight, maximum training on weight. That's the key, maximum.
Okay,
Always
so-
at maximum.
Trying to push peak strength.
Peak strength.
Peak strength.
That's the key.
Now, what's the point of pushing peak strength? What does that do, say, for a sprinter?
Well, you don't want to shut the nervous system too much, but you want to see where your max are, and then if you have struggled with one rep, at least say 365 or 385, you know where your 80% maximum is. So if you remember that, your maximum is around, say, 350. So you can do more reps and build strength and build power that way.
Yeah. Now, but say upper body power for a sprinter, is upper body power more about making it easier to create the force they need to sprint fast, or is it more about being able to produce more force because they need it, like they need that much force, or is it more the force you need, does it make it easier?
Most coaches wouldn't let their athletes benching the way I used to bench. And they say, how come this guy so big and that flexible? I said, we have the secret for that.
Yeah.
We have the program for that. We have the secret.
Yeah.
Right? So I was very big, but very flexible. But for me to react the way I react out of the blocks, that gave me the strength for my shoulders and my forearm to get at the blocks. And that was the key.